not an audit, but it's a downsized review of the fund balances and the assets of the community, the town, and I'm recommending that the least expensive one, which is from Ferguson and Company. They're up in Hammond. They do the towns of Champion, Luray, Black River, Hubleton. They're highly respected. They have time, and their cost is, I think it's $2,850. That may vary according to should they find anything unusual, but I don't expect that they will. I have a motion to hire them.
Did you ever make that phone call this morning?
I did. I called Albany, and they put me onto the Syracuse office of the controller, and they said point blank that the only time they don't offer free audits unless there's fraud involved or a high suspicion of it, and we don't qualify. So we've got to pull our own on that one.
Could you explain your reasons again to me why you feel you need an audit?
Yeah, because I'm new. They haven't been audited in 10 years or so, and that's I think it's very common for anybody that's coming in new to get a clean bill of health.
Again, I know you have the budget director, whatever, also on our agenda. I would still like to see once we have a budget director, he's going to be looking at all our books, or she will be looking at all our books. And I just don't feel we need to spend $2,850, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I don't know how to say this, but as chief officer, financial officer, I want a certainty that there are no problems. And I'm not insinuating at all that there's anything, anybody would do anything intentionally, but the books are books, and they can go astray. And if you're in this position, you'd want one too.
It seems to me like a perfectly objective and reasonable way to do it. I think having done books before, it was always very refreshing to have an exterior viewpoint, and it seems to me like a standard way of doing it.
Well, I'm making a motion. Do we have a second? Okay. In favor? Opposed?
Aye. Opposed?
Aye. So you're saying that you don't. Tell me why again. I want to know each one, because I really think that I have the power and the authority to do this myself.
Yes, you really do. You really don't need our votes or our approval. And I know you asked for it.
But I did ask for it, and I'd like your.
Again, we're going to be going through the budget. We're going to have a budget director, and if we find anything that we feel that we need to bring in an audit for, I think we could do it at that time. Because you're 2 months old. Brooks is 2 months old. You haven't had a chance really to sit down and see what everything is. As you learn, you might decide, well, you know what, we didn't need that audit. I'm starting to get what's here now.
Yeah, but the audit. Well, you want to respond to that?
I just think it's a standard thing. It's just kind of like a normal way of doing business. That from my experience, we had inside books inside a company, and every 30 days we had an exterior auditor come in and check the balances and check to make sure that everything was right. Right now, we're kind of at a turning point where Urban is brand new, he's coming in, he's responsible for everything. Whatever happens from now on, it would be really nice just to be able to put a bookmark in there and say, hey, we have this objective viewpoint at this particular point in time. There's not the slightest inference that anybody did anything wrong ethically, that anybody did anything incompetently at all. It's just that it's not personal money, and it's a considerable sum of money, and if something is off by a penny, if you don't know if it's off by a penny or $10 million, so you're dealing with millions and millions of dollars of other people's money, it seems to be very standard to say, okay, fine, we're going to bring in somebody here who's an umpire, who is unquestioned, who's outside, and just get them to look at things and certify that things are in proper order. It was the way I would do it without question. I don't even have to think about doing such a thing.
Okay, that's my reason.
I'm sorry?
That was just my reason.
I believe we just did an audit 4 to 5 years ago. I believe the Farmers Home, whenever you take a loan or grant from them, they recorded it.
2005.
I think it's 2005, so, okay, it's been 10 years.
Wait, 2005 is not 10 years.
5 years.
5 years, yeah.
It's a good reason to have an audit.
I feel that when you do your comptroller's report,
I'm glad you're not doing our numbers.
yeah, at the end of every year, you have to show them that all your accounts balance. Your comptroller report at the end of every year shows everything that you're doing right now.
I'm not in a position to say that's right or wrong, because they have audited it, or they've looked at it. I mean, there's, how many towns in the New York State?
932.
941 or something like that. And how many people are there in the audit department? I mean, how much scrutiny is this?
You know, Marty, when we're dealing with stuff that you're involved with, I totally trust you. Just believe me, when you're involved with numbers, you can't really hurt yourself by spending a little bit of money and having some umpire come in and take a look at it. It's just the way I feel about it. I'm not asking you to accept what I'm saying. I'm just telling you. Let me just tell you from my heart personally that when you're dealing with a corporation, a sizable corporation, a town this size, I really don't think that, I mean, just look at the trouble that Lime got in when they had trouble balancing their books. And the humiliation that the paper subjected them to. Let's just bring in somebody and say, okay, fine, this looks totally orthodox, totally standard, and do it that way. But that's my feeling. I'm not going to carry on any further about it.
I do give you credit for getting the extra quote.
I didn't, and find an cheaper one. Now just say yes. And let's get on with it.
Well, does Donnie want to comment?
No, I agree with you and Mickey. We had one, I think it was 2006, but
You can't be joking that an audit that was 3 or 4 years ago, you should have one all the time.
you should have one every year.
Well, I tell you, in any corporation, and any government, IDA, any of these companies have a certified CPA going through their books, and it's just good business sense. Well, okay, let's go on.
So where does this stand now?
I'm probably going to hide.
Can I vote? I'm a taxpayer. I'd like to see you get an audit.
Okay. New business.